Thursday afternoon, when I was trimming roses in my garden, my neighbor Linda hurried across her lawn and approached me with an expression I'd never seen on her face before, something between pity and urgency. "Eleanor," she said, her voice barely above a whisper, "I need to show you something." "I'm so sorry, but it's about Richard and your cancelled vacation." From that moment, everything I thought I knew about my 28-year marriage began to unravel. When Linda opened her phone and showed me what she'd photographed, I felt the garden shears slip from my hands. My heart shattered, but years of maintaining composure in courtrooms kept my face neutral. Soon enough, my husband would learn that canceling our anniversary trip for urgent work obligations was the biggest mistake of his life. "I'm grateful you're here. Drop a comment. Have you ever discovered a betrayal that changed everything? How did you handle it?" Quick note: this is a fictional story crafted for entertainment. Characters and events are imagined, though the emotions explored may resonate deeply. Any resemblance to real people is coincidental. Now, let's begin. The garden shears felt heavier than usual that Thursday afternoon, June 6, 2024, 2:30 p.m. sharp. I was in my garden in Bellevue, Washington, deadheading the heritage roses I'd cultivated for 15 years. The Pacific Northwest summer had finally arrived, 72 degrees, not a cloud in the sky, that perfect temperature where you could work outside in a linen blouse without breaking a sweat. Our neighborhood was quiet at this hour. Most people were still at work. The Cascade Mountains rose in the distance, their peaks still holding patches of snow even in June. I'd always loved afternoons like this. 32 years in this house, and I still appreciated the view of our manicured street, the towering Douglas firs, the carefully maintained lawns that spoke of old money and older values. I was halfway through the climbing roses when I noticed Linda Morrison standing at the edge of her property line. Linda lived next door, 64 years old, retired family law attorney, widowed 3 years back after Frank passed from a heart attack. Sharp woman. The kind who noticed everything and usually kept it to herself. We'd been neighbors for 18 years, shared recipes over the fence, attended the same garden club, the usual Bellevue social circuit. But she wasn't holding garden tools now. She was just standing there, phone clutched in her hand, looking at me with an expression that made my stomach drop before she even opened her mouth. "Eleanor," I called out, setting down my shears and straightening. At 58 years old, I'd learned to read people. 25 years as a senior attorney at one of Seattle's top law firms did that to you. And Linda's face said this wasn't a social visit. She crossed into my yard quickly, glancing back at both our houses like she was checking if anyone could see us. "We need to talk," she said quietly. "About Richard. About last week. Last week. Our 30th wedding anniversary vacation to Napa Valley. The trip I'd been planning for 6 months. The reservation at a Baird's du Soleil I'd made a year in advance. The couple's spa treatments, the wine tastings, the romantic dinners I'd been looking forward to as a way to reconnect after Richard's increasingly distant behavior over the past year. The trip he'd canceled 4 days before we were supposed to leave. "What about it?" I kept my voice level, professional. The tone I used in depositions when I already knew the answer but wanted to hear the other party incriminate themselves. Linda's jaw tightened. I'd known this woman for nearly 2 decades, watched her handle her husband's death with grace, helped her sort through legal documents when Frank's business partner tried to cheat her out of her share. I'd never seen her look uncomfortable before. "Eleanor, I saw Richard last Wednesday, June 5th. The day you were supposed to be leaving for Napa." The afternoon suddenly felt colder than 72 degrees. "Where?" My voice didn't sound like mine. "At the Fairmont Olympic Hotel in downtown Seattle. I was there for a retirement lunch in the Georgian Room. Around 1:30 in the afternoon." She pulled out her phone with hands that trembled slightly. "I took photos. I'm sorry, but I thought you needed to know." She turned the screen toward me. The first photo showed Richard, my husband of 30 years, 61 years old, senior partner at Whitmore and Hayes Investment Banking, standing in the hotel lobby. Not in his usual work attire. in the casual linen shirt and khakis I'd bought him specifically for our Napa trip. The outfit he'd said he'd return because we weren't going anymore. He wasn't alone. A woman stood beside him. Significantly younger, I'd guess mid-30s. Auburn hair, designer sundress, expensive handbag. His hand was on the small of her back. They were laughing about something. Linda swiped to the next photo. Richard at the check-in desk. The woman standing close, intimate, his hand reaching for a keycard. Another swipe. Both of them walking toward the elevators. His arm around her waist now. There's one more, Linda said softly. She swiped again. Richard kissing her. Not a friendly peck. A deep, familiar kiss. The kind you give someone you've kissed many times before. In the elevator bay, not even trying to hide it. The timestamp on the photos. Wednesday, June 5th, 1:47 p.m. The day we were supposed to be driving to Seattle-Tacoma for our anniversary trip. The day he'd told me, with perfect sincerity, that Marcus Whitmore needs me to handle the Pemberton acquisition. It can't wait, Eleanor. I'm so sorry, but you know how important this client is. My hands were steady as I looked at the photos, but something cold and sharp was forming in my chest. Has this happened before? I asked. My attorney voice. Calm. Seeking facts. Linda hesitated. I've seen her car at your house. A red Tesla Model S. Twice in the past month. Both times in the late morning. Both times when your car wasn't in the driveway. She parks, uses a key to go inside, stays about 2 hours, then leaves. A key. She had a key to my house. When? May 15th. May 29th. Both Thursdays. Linda's voice was gentle now, the way you'd speak to someone in shock. I almost said something the first time, but I thought maybe she was a colleague, or a real estate agent, or... Did you get photos of her car? The license plate. Linda nodded, swiped her phone again. Clear shot of a red Tesla Model S, Washington plates, parked in my circular driveway. The license plate was visible. RHW 2847. I pulled out my own phone, opened the photo app Linda had just shared with me via AirDrop, and saved every single image. Thank you, Linda, I said. You did the right thing telling me. Eleanor, I'm so sorry. If you need anything, I appreciate it. I really do. I picked up my garden shears with hands that had started to shake. I should get back to the roses. Linda looked at me for a long moment, then squeezed my shoulder and went back to her house. I stood there in my garden, surrounded by 30 years of careful cultivation, looking at photos of my husband kissing another woman in a hotel lobby. The vacation cancellation made sense now. He hadn't been needed for work. He'd been needed for her. I walked back inside and the familiar scent of our home hit me, the lavender sachets I kept in the linen closets, the leather of Richard's reading chair, the faint smell of the coffee he'd made this morning before leaving for the office. 30 years. I knew this house. I knew the creaky board in the upstairs hallway, the way afternoon light hit the formal dining room, the sound Richard made when he was pretending to listen but was actually thinking about work. I thought I knew him. My phone buzzed. Text from Richard. Working late tonight. Pemberton deal. Don't wait up. Love you. The lie tasted like ash even through the screen. I stood in our kitchen, the one I'd renovated 5 years ago, spending $125,000 on custom cabinets and Italian marble, and felt something shift inside me. Linda had given me photos. But photos weren't enough. I needed more. I needed everything. I needed to know exactly how long this had been going on, who she was, how much of my marriage had been real and how much had been theater. I walked upstairs to my study, the room Richard never entered because it was my domain, full of case files and legal books and the computer where I handled our personal finances. I opened my laptop and started searching. Private investigators, Seattle area. Experienced in infidelity cases. Discreet. Professional. The first result. Cascade Investigative Services. Founded 1998. Specializing in marital investigations. I clicked through to their website. Professional. Testimonials. A phone number. At 58 years old, after 25 years as an attorney specializing in high-asset divorce cases, I knew exactly what I was doing. I'd seen this story play out in conference rooms and courtrooms dozens of times. The cheating spouse. The canceled trips. The late nights at the office. The younger woman with a key. I'd represented the scorned wives. I'd helped them document everything. I'd helped them take their cheating husbands for everything they were worth. Now I was on the other side of the table. But I had one advantage my clients never had. I knew the playbook intimately. I picked up my phone and dialed. Cascade Investigative Services, this is James speaking. My voice was steady, professional. My name is Eleanor Hartford. I need surveillance on my husband, Richard Hartford. I have reason to believe he's having an affair, and I need comprehensive documentation for divorce proceedings. I understand, Mrs. Hartford. How soon would you like to begin? I looked at the photos on my phone. Richard kissing her. His hand on her back. The key card. The lies. Immediately, I said. After I hung up, I sat in my study as the afternoon light shifted toward evening, surrounded by decades of legal expertise that I was about to turn into a weapon. Richard thought he was clever. Thought he could cancel our anniversary trip, spend it with his mistress, and I just accept it. Stay home like a good wife. Never question. Never investigate. He'd forgotten who he married. I wasn't some naive housewife. I was Eleanor Hartford, senior partner at Morrison, Bradford and Chen. I dismantled men like him in courtrooms for 25 years. And now I was going to dismantle him. The roses could wait. That evening, Richard came home at 9:47. I've been tracking his location on Find My iPhone since 6:30, watching the little move from his downtown office to the Fairmont Olympic, where it stayed for 2 hours and 16 minutes, before finally heading north toward Bellevue. I was in the living room with a glass of Pinot Noir when he walked in. He looked tired, his tie loosened, jacket over his arm. The same man I'd woken up next to for 30 years. "Hey, sweetheart," he said, kissing my cheek. "Sorry I'm late. The Pemberton acquisition is turning into a nightmare. Marcus had me in meetings all afternoon." I took a sip of wine. "That's interesting. I thought the Pemberton deal wasn't closing until August." A flicker of something crossed his face. Barely noticeable. "It got moved up. Client pressure. You know how it is." "I do know how it is." I set down my glass. "Linda Morrison mentioned she saw you today. Downtown. Around 1:30. The color drained from his face for just a second before he recovered. "Linda? I doubt that. I was in the office all day." He loosened his tie further, not meeting my eyes. "She probably saw someone who looked like me. You know how crowded downtown gets." "She was quite certain. Said you were at the Fairmont Olympic." Richard laughed, but it sounded forced. "Eleanor, honey, Linda's getting older. Her eyesight isn't what it used to be. I was nowhere near the Fairmont today." He moved to the bar, poured himself scotch. "Besides, why would I be at a hotel in the middle of a workday?" I watched him drink, watched him perform casual dismissal, watched him lie to my face with 30 years of practice behind him. "You're probably right," I said finally. Linda did seem a bit confused lately. The relief that washed over his face was almost comical. His shoulders dropped. His grip on the scotch glass relaxed. He thought I'd bought it. Thought I was satisfied with his explanation. "How was your day?" he asked, changing the subject smoothly. "Get much done in the garden?" "The roses are coming along beautifully." I picked up my wine again. "I'm thinking of entering them in the garden club competition this year." We made small talk for another 20 minutes. Normal conversation. Normal marriage. Everything perfectly normal. Except I kept thinking about Linda's photos. About the woman with auburn hair. About the key card. About the kiss in the elevator bay. When Richard went upstairs to shower, I pulled out my phone and looked at the photos again. Zoomed in on the woman's face. She was beautiful, younger, vibrant in a way I hadn't been in years. I opened a new browser window and typed the Tesla license plate into a private investigator database I had access to through my firm. The registration came back immediately. Vanessa Chen, 1247, First Avenue, Seattle, Washington, 98101. I had a name now. Tomorrow, I'd have everything else. Friday morning, I called in sick to the office for the first time in 3 years. My paralegal, Sarah, sounded genuinely concerned. "Are you okay, Eleanor? Do you need me to reschedule the Jensen deposition?" "Just a migraine," I lied smoothly. "I'll be fine by Monday." "Yes, reschedule Jensen for Tuesday afternoon." I waited until Richard left for work at 7:45, kissed him goodbye at the door like I had thousands of mornings before, watched his Mercedes pull out of our circular driveway. Then I got to work. First call, James at Cascade Investigative Services. "Mrs. Hartford, I was just about to phone you. We've begun preliminary surveillance on your husband. I have an update." My heart hammered, but my voice stayed level. "Go ahead." "Subject left your residence at 7:46 this morning. Proceeded to Starbucks on Bellevue Way, ordered coffee, then drove to his office parking garage. He made one phone call during the drive. We couldn't hear the conversation, but he was smiling. The call lasted 4 minutes. "Calling her," I said. "The mistress." "Very likely." Now, regarding the woman, Vanessa Chen. I ran a background check overnight. She's 34 years old, graduated from University of Washington with an MBA. Currently works as a senior financial analyst at Whitmore and Hayes Investment Banking. My stomach dropped. "She works at Richard's firm?" "Yes, ma'am. Same building, different floor. She's been there 2 years. Her personnel file lists her supervisor as Marcus Whitmore." Marcus, Richard's managing partner. The man Richard claimed needed him for urgent client work. So Richard and Marcus both know her. Rebecca nodded approvingly. "What other assets?" "The house. Valued at $2.8 million, mortgage paid off. 2 cars, my Lexus and his Mercedes. His 401k has approximately $1.6 million. My retirement account has $800,000. We have a vacation home in San Juan Islands worth $900,000. Rebecca was typing rapidly. Total marital estate approximately $6.7 million, not counting his pending partnership distribution. If we add that $8.9 million at 50-50 split, you'd walk away with $4.45 million. At 65%, $5.78 million. What do I need to do? First, file before he does. Second, document the affair exhaustively. Third, prove dissipation of assets. Fourth, discredit him professionally if possible. She paused. Is there anything about his work situation we can leverage? I thought about Vanessa working at his firm, about Marcus Whitmore being her supervisor, about Richard using company resources to conduct an affair. Whitmore and Hayes has a strict ethics policy about workplace relationships. Partners are prohibited from romantic involvement with subordinate employees. It's in the partnership agreement. Rebecca's smile widened. Is it now? I left Rebecca's office at 12:30 with a clear tactical plan. File for divorce within 2 weeks. Document everything. Prepare for war. My phone rang as I walked to my car. James from Cascade Investigative. Mrs. Hartford, significant update. Subject just left his office. Drove to First Avenue. Parked outside Vanessa Chen's building. She came down, got in his car. They're heading south on I-5. Follow them. Already on it. I'll send live updates. I drove home, poured myself a glass of wine even though it was barely past noon, and opened my laptop to monitor the tracking app James had provided. Richard's car was heading towards Seattle-Tacoma Airport. My phone buzzed. Text from Richard. Client emergency. Flying to San Francisco for the weekend. Back Monday. Sorry, sweetheart. Love you. Another lie. So easy for him now. 20 minutes later, James called. They've parked at the Four Seasons Hotel near Seattle-Tacoma. Both entered with overnight bags. My associate just confirmed. Richard checked in under his own name. Room 2847. King bed, ocean view suite. Get photos of everything. Them entering together, any public affection, the check-in if possible. Already done. Sending them now. The photos arrived within minutes. Richard and Vanessa walking into the Four Seasons, his arm around her waist. Him carrying both their bags. Her laughing at something he said. Him kissing her in the lobby, not caring who saw. The timestamp. Friday, June 7th, 1:47 p.m. I forwarded everything to Rebecca Chen with a subject line, additional evidence. Weekend trip to Four Seasons. Her reply came back within minutes. Perfect. This establishes a pattern. Keep documenting. I spent the rest of Friday compiling evidence. I created a spreadsheet of every hotel charge on Richard's secret credit card. Matched them against his calendar, against times he'd told me he was working late or traveling for business. Every lie documented. Every deception catalogued. By evening, I had 14 months of betrayal organized in a color-coded timeline that would make any jury weep. Saturday morning, I drove to our bank. Withdrew the cash I'd need for immediate expenses. Made sure my separate accounts were secure. Updated my will to remove Richard as beneficiary. Saturday afternoon, I met with my financial advisor, Patricia Torres. Eleanor, what's going on? Patricia had managed our investments for 12 years. She knew every detail of our financial life. Richard's having an affair. I'm filing for divorce. I need to understand our complete financial picture and protect my assets. Patricia didn't waste time on sympathy. What do you need? Everything. Full accounting of all joint holdings, his retirement accounts, my retirement accounts, stock portfolios, real estate valuations. I need to know exactly what I'm entitled to. When are you filing? Within 2 weeks. She pulled up her computer. All right. Let's start with real estate. The Bellevue house is in both names, valued at $2.8 million, fully paid off. The San Juan property is also joint, worth approximately $900,000, still carrying a mortgage of $150,000. Net equity $750,000. I took notes as she continued. Investment accounts total $470,000 as of this morning. I see you moved half to a separate account yesterday. Good. His 401k currently sits at $1.63 million. Your retirement accounts total $812,000. Combined liquid assets, approximately $3.88 million. What about his partnership interest at Whitmore and Hayes? Patricia frowned. That's complicated. The partnership agreement specifies distribution protocols, but the partnership interest itself may not be divisible. However, any distributions received during marriage are community property. He's due to receive $2.4 million on October 1st. Then you want the divorce filed well before that, but not finalized until after. That way the distribution is still marital property subject to division. Rebecca Chen said the same thing. Patricia printed out a comprehensive financial statement. Eleanor, you're looking at a marital estate of roughly $6.7 million in liquid and real assets, plus Richard's partnership interest, which could be valued at an additional $3 to $5 million depending on how it's structured. If you can prove dissipation of assets through his affair, you could walk away with significantly more than half. I stared at the numbers. 30 years of marriage reduced to a balance sheet. What else do I need to do? Cancel any joint credit cards he has access to after you file. Make sure your credit is protected. Consider freezing joint accounts on the day you serve him to prevent asset dissipation. And Eleanor. She looked at me seriously. Prepare for him to fight dirty. Men like Richard don't take well to losing control. Let him fight, I said. I've been doing this longer than he has. Sunday evening, Richard returned from his emergency business trip with gifts: chocolate from the Pike Place Market, a new scarf from Nordstrom, flowers from the hotel gift shop. The same performance he'd given dozens of times before. I missed you, he said, kissing my cheek. San Francisco was exhausting. Client was furious about the contract terms. Took all weekend to smooth it over. I smiled and accepted the gifts. I'm just glad you're home safe. We had dinner together. I'd made his favorite, grilled salmon with roasted asparagus. We talked about my roses, about the upcoming garden club meeting, about his week ahead at work. Normal. Perfect. Everything exactly as it should be. Except I knew he'd spent the weekend at the Four Seasons with Vanessa Chen. James had sent me 47 photos documenting their romantic getaway. Room service breakfasts. Walks on the hotel beach. Dinner at the hotel restaurant. Her laughing in a hotel bathrobe. Him kissing her neck while she poured wine. I had every moment documented. Monday morning, I met with Rebecca Chen again. I've compiled everything, I said, handing her 3 USB drives. Surveillance photos, credit card statements, text messages, hotel records, and a complete timeline of his affair going back 14 months. I've also documented every lie he told me, matched against his actual whereabouts. Rebecca reviewed the materials, her expression growing more satisfied with each page. This is extraordinary documentation. Most clients come to me with suspicions. You're coming with a prosecutable case. What's our next move? We file. This week. I'll prepare a petition for dissolution of marriage citing irreconcilable differences. We can't cite adultery as grounds in Washington, but we'll use this evidence to argue for unequal division of assets due to dissipation. How long until we serve him? Papers will be ready by Wednesday. We can serve him Thursday. Where will he be? His office. Thursday afternoon around 3. He has a partners meeting that ends at 2:30. Rebecca made a note. Professional process server will deliver the papers. But Eleanor, I need to ask, are you prepared for his reaction? Men in his position often become vindictive. I'm prepared, I said. But my hands were shaking. That evening, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about 30 years of marriage. Our wedding at St. James Cathedral. The house we'd bought together. The miscarriages I'd suffered. The children we'd never had. The career I'd built while supporting his ambitions. The life we'd created. All of it contaminated now by his betrayal. Around midnight, I got up and walked through our house. Every room held memories. The kitchen where we'd cooked together on Sunday mornings. The living room where we'd hosted dinner parties. The bedroom where we'd made love thousands of times. How much of it had been real? My phone buzzed. Email from James. Subject's vehicle just arrived at First Avenue. Vanessa Chen entered vehicle. They're heading to the Fairmont. Shall I continue surveillance? I typed back, yes. Document everything. At 1:15 a.m., the photos started arriving. Richard checking into the Fairmont. Vanessa beside him, wearing the blue dress from his text messages. His hand on her lower back as they walked to the elevator. My husband was with his mistress while I stood in our home, surrounded by ghosts of what I'd thought was our life. I forwarded the photos to Rebecca with a timestamp. Her reply, excellent. This shows ongoing behavior, not a one-time mistake. We file Wednesday. Wednesday, June 12th, I took another sick day. Rebecca's office called at 9 a.m. Papers are ready. Come sign. I drove downtown in my Lexus, parked in the Columbia Tower garage, took the elevator to the 23rd floor. Rebecca had the petition for dissolution laid out on her conference table. Review carefully before signing, she said. I read through the document. 38 pages detailing our marriage, our assets, and my requests. Primary ownership of the Bellevue home, equal division of retirement accounts, 70% of liquid assets due to Richard's dissipation of marital funds, and 50% of his October partnership distribution. This is aggressive, I noted. We're opening with a strong position. Expect him to counteroffer. We'll negotiate down to 65% of everything, which is our actual target. Rebecca tapped the financial documentation. The evidence supports it. His affair cost marital assets approximately $73,000 over 14 months. Hotels, gifts, restaurants, all paid from joint funds. That's grounds for unequal division. I signed the petition. My hand was steady. Process server will deliver these to his office tomorrow at 3 p.m. He'll be served in front of his colleagues. I recommend you not be home when he gets the news. Where should I go? Anywhere public. Stay with a friend. Go to your office. Just don't be alone with him when he processes this. I nodded. What happens after service? He has 20 days to respond. His attorney will likely contact us within 48 hours trying to negotiate. We'll schedule a settlement conference, probably in 3 to 4 weeks. If we can't reach agreement, we go to trial in 6 to 8 months. 6 to 8 months? High-asset divorces take time. But Eleanor, I should warn you, he's going to be angry. Expect him to cut off access to funds, cancel credit cards, maybe even try to freeze assets. Are you financially prepared? I have $235,000 in my separate account. My salary is $15,000 per month. I'll be fine. Good. Also expect him to attack your character, possibly claim you're mentally unstable or that you abandoned the marriage. Standard tactics for men in his position. I thought about Richard's face when he'd lied about San Francisco, about the Fairmont, about working late. Thought about the gifts he'd bought Vanessa with our money. Thought about him planning to divorce me only after securing his financial position. Let him try, I said. Thursday, I went to my office for the first time in a week. My colleagues were relieved to see me. Eleanor, are you feeling better? Much better, I lied. Just needed a few days. At 2:45 p.m., my phone buzzed. Text from Rebecca, server en route, ETA 5 minutes. I couldn't concentrate on work. I kept imagining the scene. Richard in his corner office, probably on a call with a client, or reviewing contracts, or texting Vanessa about their next rendezvous. Then the knock on his door. The process server in a professional suit. The manila envelope. Richard Hartford, you've been served. At 3:07, my phone exploded with calls. Richard's name flashing on the screen. Again. 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 I let them all go to voicemail. The voicemails that followed were a progression from shock to anger to rage. Eleanor, what the hell is this? Call me immediately. This is insane. You can't be serious. Call me back right now. You're making a huge mistake. We need to talk about this. How dare you serve me at my office? In front of my partners? Call me back. Eleanor, I swear to God if you don't pick up the phone. I deleted each one without listening to completion. At 4:15, Rebecca called. He's already hired counsel. Thomas Brennan from Brennan and Price. They're good, but we're better. Brennan just called me, furious, demanding we withdraw the filing. I told him to review the evidence and call me back. Did you send him the surveillance photos? Every single one, including this week's Fairmont visit. He went very quiet after that. At 6 p.m., I was still at my office when Sarah knocked. Eleanor, your husband is here. In the lobby. He's asking to see you. My heart hammered. Tell him I'm in a meeting. I already did. He says he'll wait. I looked out my office window at the Seattle skyline, at the city where I'd built my career, at the life I'd thought was secure. Call building security. Tell them I need an escort to my car. I didn't go home that night. Instead, I checked into the Fairmont Olympic, the same hotel where Richard had been meeting Vanessa. Room 1847, one floor above where Linda had photographed him. The irony wasn't lost on me. I ordered room service, poured wine from the minibar, and finally listened to Richard's voicemails. 23 in total, ranging from shock to pleading to fury. The last one, left at 7:30 p.m. Eleanor, I know you're upset. I know I made mistakes. But this, destroying our marriage, serving me at work, demanding 70% of everything, this is vindictive and cruel. I thought you were better than this. Call me, please. Let's talk like adults. Like adults. As if adultery was just a mistake. As if planning to divorce me for financial advantage was reasonable behavior. I deleted the voicemail and opened my laptop. James had sent the latest surveillance report. Subject returned home at 7:15 p.m. Paced in driveway for approximately 12 minutes. Made multiple phone calls. Entered house at 7:27 p.m. Lights on in primary bedroom and home office. Subject observed through window appearing distressed. Drinking heavily. At 9:43 p.m., Vanessa Chen's vehicle arrived. She entered using key. They argued visibly through kitchen window. She departed at 10:15 p.m. Subject remained in kitchen drinking until 11:30 p.m. So Vanessa still had her key. Even after Richard had been served divorce papers, his mistress still had access to our home. I forwarded the report to Rebecca. He's brought her to the marital home tonight. Additional evidence of ongoing affair. Friday morning, Rebecca called. Brennan wants an emergency meeting. He's claiming you've abandoned the marital home and are in violation of standing orders. Standing orders? Standard in Washington divorce. Both parties must maintain status quo. No dissipating assets, no changing locks, no denying access to marital property. He's arguing that you checking into a hotel constitutes abandonment. I left because I felt unsafe. Perfect. That's exactly what you tell the judge if it comes up. But Eleanor, You should go back to the house. Maintain your presence. Don't give him ammunition. I checked out of the Fairmont at noon and drove back to Bellevue. Richard's Mercedes was in the driveway. I almost turned around, but Rebecca's advice echoed, maintain your presence. I walked through my front door for the first time since Wednesday. The house was quiet. Richard's briefcase sat on the entry table. Coffee cup in the sink. Mail sorted on the counter. Eleanor. His voice came from the living room. I found him sitting on the couch, still in his work clothes, looking like he hadn't slept. We need to talk, he said. Through our attorneys. Eleanor, please. Don't do this. Don't throw away 30 years over a mistake. I set down my purse. A mistake? Richard, you've been having an affair for over a year. You spent $73,000 of our money on her. You canceled our anniversary trip so you could spend the weekend with her. You gave her a key to our house. You were planning to divorce me in the fall after securing your partnership distribution. My voice stayed level, professional. That's not a mistake. That's a calculated betrayal. His face went white. How do you? I know everything. Every hotel visit. Every gift. Every lie. I have documentation going back 14 months. He stood, started pacing. You had me investigated. You've been spying on me. Gathering evidence. For the divorce you were already planning. I wasn't. He stopped, ran his hands through his hair. Okay. Yes. Vanessa and I. It happened. But it doesn't have to end our marriage. We can work through this. Counseling. Whatever you need. I don't need counseling. I need a divorce. Eleanor, be reasonable. Think about what you're giving up. This house. Our life. Our reputation. If you go through with this, everyone will know. The firm, the garden club, our friends. Everyone should know, I said quietly. What you did. Who you really are. His expression hardened. You want to destroy me? Fine. But I'll fight you on every single asset. The house, the retirement accounts, the partnership distribution. You won't get 70%. You'll be lucky to get 40. We'll see what the judge says. The judge will see a vindictive woman who abandoned her husband and destroyed his career over an affair that meant nothing. It meant $73,000. It meant over a year of lies. It meant giving her a key to our home. I picked up my purse. It meant everything. I walked upstairs to our bedroom, pulled out a suitcase, and started packing. What are you doing? Richard followed me, taking my clothes. I'm staying at the Bellevue Hyatt until this is resolved. You can't just leave. Watch me. I spent 2 weeks at the Hyatt, going to work during the day and reviewing evidence at night. James's surveillance continued. Richard met Vanessa 6 more times during those 2 weeks. Dinners, hotel visits, her apartment. He wasn't even trying to hide it anymore. Rebecca filed supplemental motions documenting his ongoing relationship with Vanessa, arguing it demonstrated neither remorse nor any attempt at reconciliation. Richard's attorney, Thomas Brennan, responded with his own motions claiming I had abandoned the marriage, alienated affection, and was making unreasonable financial demands. The settlement conference was scheduled for July 8th. The week before the conference, something unexpected happened. My colleague Marcus Chen, no relation to Vanessa, stopped by my office. Eleanor, can we talk privately? I closed my door. Marcus was a fellow partner at Morrison, Bradford & Chen, specializing in corporate law. We'd worked together for 15 years. I heard about your divorce, he said carefully. I'm sorry. Thank you. I'm also hearing some concerning things. About Richard. About the circumstances. I waited. His firm, Whitmore and Hayes, they have strict ethics policies about workplace relationships. Partners can't be involved with subordinate employees. If Richard's having an affair with someone at his firm. He paused. That's a terminable offense. How do you know about that? Seattle's legal community is small. Word travels. I know Marcus Whitmore. We play golf together. If there's evidence of Richard violating partnership agreements, Marcus would want to know. I studied him carefully. Why are you telling me this? Because you deserve justice, and because men like Richard shouldn't get away with it. He handed me a business card. Marcus Whitmore's direct line. If you have evidence, he'll listen. After he left, I sat with the card for a long time. I could destroy Richard's career entirely. One phone call to Marcus Whitmore, providing evidence of his affair with a subordinate employee, would violate his partnership agreement. He'd be terminated, lose his partnership distribution, possibly lose his entire equity stake in the firm. Rebecca had told me to prepare for Richard to fight dirty. Maybe it was time to fight back. I picked up my phone and dialed Marcus Whitmore's number. Marcus Whitmore. Mr. Whitmore, my name is Eleanor Hartford. I'm Richard Hartford's wife. I have information about a serious ethics violation at your firm, and I think you'll want to see it. We met the following day at a coffee shop in Belltown, away from both our offices. I brought a laptop containing excerpts of the surveillance evidence, carefully edited to show Richard and Vanessa together without revealing my entire case. Marcus Whitmore was 68, silver-haired, with the bearing of someone who'd built an empire. He reviewed the evidence in silence. This is Vanessa Chen, he said finally. Yes. She's a senior analyst. Reports to me directly. I'm aware. He closed the laptop. How long has this been going on? Over 14 months based on credit card records and surveillance. And you're divorcing him? Yes. Settlement conference is scheduled for Monday. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Mrs. Hartford, our partnership agreement prohibits romantic relationships between partners and employees who report through their chain of command. It's designed to prevent exactly this kind of situation. I assumed as much. If I present this evidence to the other partners, Richard will be terminated for cause. He'll forfeit his partnership distribution, all $2.4 million, and his equity stake in the firm. He'd leave with nothing except his base compensation. $2.4 million. Gone. What happens to Vanessa? She'd also be terminated. We have a zero-tolerance policy. I thought about Vanessa Chen, 34 years old, who'd been sleeping with my husband in our home, who'd been planning a future with him, who'd pushed him to divorce me. Do what you need to do, I said. Marcus nodded. I'll convene an emergency partners meeting. We'll review the evidence. If it's as clear as what you've shown me, Richard will be notified of termination by end of week. Before our settlement conference Monday? Yes. I stood to leave. Marcus stopped me. Mrs. Hartford, I'm sorry. This reflects poorly on our firm, on our partnership. Richard should have been better. Yes, I said. He should have been. Friday afternoon, June 28th, Richard was terminated from Whitmore and Hayes Investment Banking. Rebecca called me at 4:15. Eleanor, something's happened. Thomas Brennan just called me in a panic. Richard's been fired. He's lost his partnership distribution and his equity stake. Brennan wants to postpone the settlement conference. Absolutely not. We're proceeding as scheduled. He's claiming Richard's financial situation has materially changed and he can't afford the proposed settlement. That's not my problem. Eleanor, did you have something to do with his termination? I provided information to his managing partner about an ethics violation. What they did with that information was their decision. Rebecca was quiet. Then, "You're ruthless. I like it." The settlement conference was held Monday, July 1st, in a conference room at the King County Courthouse. Richard arrived with Thomas Brennan, looking haggard. I sat beside Rebecca, perfectly composed in a navy suit. The mediator, Judge Patricia Reynolds, reviewed our positions. Mrs. Hartford is seeking 70% of marital assets, totaling approximately $4.7 million, plus 50% of Mr. Hartford's partnership distribution, which I understand is no longer available. Mr. Hartford is seeking 50-50 division of remaining assets. Your Honor, Brennan stood. My client's financial situation has drastically changed since filing. He's lost his position, his partnership distribution, and his future earning capacity. Mrs. Hartford's demands are punitive, not equitable. Rebecca responded smoothly. Mr. Hartford's termination was due to his own ethical violations, conducting an affair with a subordinate employee in violation of his firm's partnership agreement. He caused his own financial harm. Furthermore, he dissipated marital assets totaling $73,000 on his extramarital affair. Mrs. Hartford is entitled to compensation. Judge Reynolds reviewed the evidence we'd submitted. The credit card statements, the surveillance photos, the timeline of lies. Mr. Hartford, did you engage in an extramarital affair with Vanessa Chen? Richard shifted in his seat. Yes, Your Honor. For how long? Approximately 14 months. And you used marital funds for this relationship? Some, yes. How much? Brennan jumped in. Your Honor, we dispute the $73,000 figure. I'm asking your client. Judge Reynolds looked at Richard. How much marital money did you spend on your affair? Richard's jaw tightened. I don't know the exact amount. Mrs. Hartford's counsel has provided detailed documentation. Hotels, gifts, restaurants, flowers. $73,000 over 14 months. Do you dispute these charges? No, Your Honor. Judge Reynolds removed her glasses. Mr. Hartford, you spent $73,000 of marital funds on an affair, violated your firm's ethics policy resulting in your termination, and now you're claiming your wife should bear the financial consequences of your choices? Your Honor, I'm ordering a 65/35 split of all marital assets in Mrs. Hartford's favor. That's approximately $4.4 million to Mrs. Hartford, $2.3 million to Mr. Hartford. The marital home goes to Mrs. Hartford. Mr. Hartford has 90 days to vacate. Mrs. Hartford retains all furnishings except items Mr. Hartford can prove were separate property. Brennan stood. Your Honor, this is equitable. Mr. Brennan, this is equitable. Your client caused this situation. He'll bear the consequences. She signed the order. Conference adjourned. Richard stared at me across the table. I didn't look away. Outside the courthouse, Rebecca turned to me. $4.4 million. Plus the house. You won. Yes, I said. But I didn't feel victorious. Just exhausted. That evening, I drove to the Bellevue house for the last time before it became solely mine. Richard's car was in the driveway. I almost left, but something made me go inside. He was in the living room, packing boxes. 90 days, he said without looking up. That's what she gave me. That's generous. Generous. He laughed bitterly. You destroyed my career, my reputation, my future. You took everything. You took it first, I said quietly. 14 months ago, when you decided I wasn't enough, when you started planning to leave me, when you gave her a key to our home. I loved you, Eleanor. No, you loved the life I provided, the respectable wife, the beautiful home. the image of success. But you didn't love me. If you had, you wouldn't have spent over a year planning your exit strategy. He finally looked at me. What about you? You loved me. I thought about 30 years. About the marriage I'd believed in. About the future I'd imagined. I loved who I thought you were, I said. But that person never existed. The divorce was finalized on September 15, 2024. Richard moved out of the house on August 28, taking only his clothes and a few pieces of furniture. I watched from my study window as the moving truck pulled away. 30 years, reduced to boxes in a U-Haul. Vanessa Chen was also terminated from Whitmore and Hayes. I heard through legal gossip that she and Richard were no longer together. She blamed him for losing her job. Last I heard, she'd moved to Portland. Richard found work at a smaller investment firm in Tacoma, making a fraction of his former salary. He lived in a rented apartment in Federal Way. I kept the house, the Lexus, $4.4 million in assets, and my career. But I lost 30 years of memories. Lost the belief that love could last. Lost the ability to trust completely. Some mornings I walked through my empty house and felt the silence like a weight. The bedroom where we'd slept together. The kitchen where we'd made Sunday breakfast. The garden where I'd planned our anniversary trip to Napa. Linda Morrison came over one evening in late September, brought wine. How are you holding up? I won, I said. 4.4 million. The house. Everything. But I'm alone. In this big house. With all this money. And I don't know who I am anymore. For 30 years I was Richard's wife. Now I'm, what? A divorcee? A woman who destroyed her husband's career. Linda poured more wine. You're a woman who demanded justice. Who refused to be treated as less than she deserved. There's no shame in that. Then why does it feel so hollow? She didn't have an answer. October brought the changing leaves, the cooling weather, the start of my new life. I sold the San Juan vacation home. Too many memories. Invested the proceeds. I hired a decorator to redesign the master bedroom. New furniture, new paint, new everything. Erasing Richard's presence one room at a time. In November, I attended a charity gala for the Seattle Art Museum. Alone. But not lonely. A man approached me at the bar. Late 50s, kind eyes, introduced himself as David Chen, orthopedic surgeon at Swedish Medical Center. I've seen you at these events before, he said. Always meant to introduce myself. We talked for an hour. He was divorced, 3 years out. Understood the complexity of starting over. Maybe we could have dinner sometime, he suggested. I hesitated. The thought of trusting someone again, of being vulnerable. I'll think about it, I said. He smiled. That's fair. December brought Christmas, which I spent with Linda and her family. January brought my 59th birthday, which I celebrated quietly. And slowly, gradually, I began to heal. The money helped. Financial security gave me freedom. I traveled to Italy in February, hiked Cinque Terre alone, felt the Mediterranean sun. I started painting again, something I'd given up decades ago when Richard said it wasn't practical. I joined a book club. Made new friends who didn't know me as Richard's wife. In March, I called David Chen. That dinner invitation, is it still open? Absolutely. We met at Canlis on a Tuesday evening. Talked for hours. He didn't ask about Richard. Didn't pry into my past. Just accepted me as I was now. On our 4th date, he said, I'm not looking to rush anything. I've been hurt too. But I like you, Eleanor. I like who you are. Who am I? Someone who survived. Who fought back. Who didn't let betrayal destroy her. He reached across the table, took my hand. That's rare. By April, we were seeing each other regularly. He met Linda, met my colleagues, integrated into my new life carefully, respectfully. I didn't tell him I loved him, wasn't sure I could love anyone again, but I enjoyed his company, his stability, his kindness. One evening in May, almost a year after Linda had shown me those first photos, I was in my garden pruning roses. David was inside making dinner. My phone buzzed. Email notification. Richard's name. I almost deleted it, but curiosity made me open it. Eleanor, I know I have no right to contact you. I know what I did was unforgivable, but I wanted you to know, I'm sorry. Truly sorry. Not for getting caught. Not for losing everything. Sorry for hurting you. For taking you for granted. For not appreciating what I had until it was gone. You deserved better. I hope you found it. Richard. I read it twice. Felt nothing. No anger. No satisfaction. Just emptiness where pain used to be. I deleted the email and went back to my roses. David called from the kitchen. Dinner's ready. I put down my shears and walked inside, into my home, into my new life, into whatever came next. The past was done. The future was uncertain. But for the first time in a year, I felt ready for it. Summer 2025 arrived with clear skies and warm breezes. David and I had been together for 6 months, carefully, slowly building something that felt different from what I'd had with Richard. He didn't rush me, didn't push for commitment, just showed up consistently, honestly. In June, on the anniversary of Linda's revelation, David suggested a trip to Napa Valley. I know that might be complicated, he said, given the history. But you mentioned you'd never made it there. Maybe it's time to create a new memory. We flew to San Francisco, drove to the valley, stayed at the Auberge du Soleil, the same resort Richard had canceled. The room was beautiful. The wine tasting sublime. The sunset over the vineyards breathtaking. David didn't know the full significance. I hadn't told him about Richard's cancellation, about the anniversary trip that never happened. But as we sat on the terrace watching the California hills turn gold, I felt something shift. This wasn't the trip I'd planned with Richard. This was better. Because David was here. Present. Honest. Not texting someone else. Not wishing he was somewhere else. Thank you, I said. For what? For being here. For being real. He took my hand. Eleanor, I don't know what your ex-husband did to you. You don't talk about it much, and that's okay. But I want you to know, I see you. Not as someone's wife or ex-wife. Just as you. And I think you're extraordinary. I felt tears building. I'm scared to trust again. I know. I am too. But maybe that's okay. Maybe we can be scared together and still try. That night, for the first time since the divorce, I felt like myself again. Not Richard's wife. Not a divorcee. Just Eleanor. We returned from Napa on a Sunday evening. My phone had 17 missed calls from an unknown number. The voicemail was from Thomas Brennan, Richard's attorney. Mrs. Hartford, or rather Ms. Hartford, I apologize for contacting you directly. But I'm calling on behalf of Richard. He's been hospitalized. Heart attack. He's asking for you. If you're willing, he's at Swedish Medical Center, room 437. I stood in my driveway, staring at the phone. Richard. Heart attack. Asking for me. David saw my expression. What's wrong? I told him. Do you want to go? I don't know. What does your gut say? My gut said Richard had destroyed our marriage, stolen years from my life, betrayed every vow we'd made. My gut also said he was 62 years old, alone in a hospital room, possibly dying. I should go, I said finally. Not for him. For closure. Swedish Medical Center was a 15-minute drive. I went alone, despite David's offer to accompany me. Room 437 was in the cardiac unit. I knocked softly. Come in. Richard looked diminished in the hospital bed. Gray. Fragile. Connected to monitors and IVs. Eleanor. His voice was weak. You came. Your attorney called. Said it was serious. They're saying it was a moderate heart attack. Stress-induced. Too much work, not enough sleep, poor diet. He attempted a smile. Apparently losing everything takes a toll. I pulled up a chair, kept my distance. What did you want? To apologize. Again. Properly. He shifted in the bed. I've had a lot of time to think over the past year. About what I did. What I lost. And Eleanor, I know sorry doesn't fix anything. I know I destroyed us. But I needed you to hear it from me, face to face. I was wrong. About everything. Why now? Because lying here, thinking I might die, all I could think about was you. Our life. The real parts, before I ruined it. Our wedding. The house we bought. Sunday mornings. The simple things I took for granted. I looked at him, this man I'd spent 30 years with, who'd become a stranger. Richard, I don't hate you anymore. I don't feel much of anything. And that's good. It means I've moved on. Are you happy? I thought about David. About Napa. About my garden and my new life. I'm getting there. He nodded. Good. You deserve happiness. I'm glad you found it. He paused. Vanessa and I didn't work out. In case you wondered. She blamed me for her job loss. Left within 2 months. I didn't wonder. Right. Of course not. He looked at the ceiling. I threw away a real marriage for something that wasn't even real. And now I'm alone in a hospital room, realizing everything I lost. You made choices, Richard. We all did. Mine was to protect myself. Yours was to betray our marriage. We're both living with the consequences. I know. I wanted you to know I understand now. What I gave up. What I destroyed. I stood. I hope you recover. I hope you find peace. But I can't be part of that process. I know. Thank you for coming. It means more than you know. I walked to the door, stopped. Richard, for what it's worth, I did love you. The version of you I thought existed. That love was real, even if you weren't. I left him there and drove home to my house, my life, my future. David was waiting in my kitchen, reading. How was it? Sad. But necessary. I sat beside him. He apologized. Asked if I was happy. What did you tell him? That I'm getting there. David set down his book. And are you? Getting there. I looked around my home, redecorated, reorganized, reclaimed. Looked at David, patient and kind. Looked at the life I'd built from the wreckage. Yes, I said. I think I am. August brought my garden's peak bloom. The heritage roses I'd cultivated for 15 years were magnificent. Deep crimsons, soft pinks, brilliant whites. I entered them in the Bellevue Garden Club competition. They won first place. Linda threw me a celebration dinner. To Eleanor, who tends her gardens and her life with equal grace. David was there, along with friends from my firm, neighbors, people who'd become my support system over the past year. Sarah, my paralegal, pulled me aside. You seem lighter. Happier than I've seen you in years. I feel lighter. Like I've been carrying weight I didn't realize was there. Richard. The marriage. The pretending. The performing the role of perfect wife while ignoring my own needs. I sipped wine. Divorce was painful. But it freed me. September marked 1 year since the divorce was finalized. I'd been tracking it unconsciously, noting the milestone. David noticed. You okay? You've been quiet. Just thinking. This time last year, I was watching Richard move out, feeling like my life was ending. And now I have a first-place garden trophy and a man who actually listens when I talk. I smiled. I'd say that's progress. He kissed my forehead. I'd say you're extraordinary. In October, my firm promoted me to managing partner. The announcement came during our annual partners meeting. Eleanor Hartford has demonstrated exceptional leadership, dedication to our clients, and unwavering integrity. She's the obvious choice for managing partner. The applause was genuine. My colleagues respected me, not as someone's wife, but for my own merit. That evening, I celebrated with David at our favorite restaurant. Managing partner, he said, raising his glass. How does it feel? Like validation, like proof that I built something substantial, that I'm more than what Richard made me feel. What did he make you feel? I considered. Invisible. Convenient. Like my purpose was supporting his ambitions while suppressing my own. And now I feel seen. In November, David asked me to move in with him. We were having breakfast at his condo, a modern space on the waterfront with views of Elliott Bay. I know it's fast, he said. We've only been together a year and a half. But Eleanor, I wake up every day grateful I met you. I don't want to waste time being careful when I know what I want. I looked at him across the table. Kind, steady David who'd never lied to me, never made me feel less than I was. I need to think about it. Of course. Take all the time you need. The truth was, I was terrified. Moving in felt like commitment, like trusting someone completely, like risking my heart again. Linda's advice, you can't live in fear forever. Eventually you have to choose, stay safe and alone, or risk being hurt again for the chance of something real. I thought about my empty house, about rattling around in 4 bedrooms meant for a family, about the memories lurking in every corner. I thought about David's condo, about waking up beside him, about building something new. In December, I said yes. We moved my things on a crisp Saturday morning. Not everything. I kept the Bellevue house, rented it to a young family for now. But I brought my clothes, my books, my personal items. David made space in his closets, cleared shelves, welcomed me without reservation. This is yours now too, he said. Our home. Our home. The words felt foreign and right simultaneously. Christmas was different that year. I spent it with David's family, his 2 adult children, his ex-wife surprisingly cordial, his aging parents. They welcomed me warmly. No judgment about my divorce or my age or my past. David's daughter, Amy, pulled me aside. Dad's different with you. Happier. Thank you for that. I think we make each other happy. That's rare. Hold on to it. New Year's Eve, we watched fireworks from the condo balcony. The city lit up below us, reflected in the bay. What are you hoping for this year? David asked. Peace, I said. Continued healing. Maybe love. If I can let myself feel it. He turned to me. Eleanor, I love you. I've loved you since Napa. Maybe before. I'm not asking you to say it back. I just want you to know. I looked at this good man who'd shown up consistently, who'd earned my trust incrementally, who'd never asked me to be anything other than myself. I'm scared, I admitted. I know. Richard broke something in me, made me doubt my judgment, made me believe I wasn't enough. You're more than enough. I want to love you. I think I do, but I'm terrified of being wrong again. David pulled me close. Then let's be terrified together. Let's take it day by day. No pressure. No timeline. Just us. As midnight struck and the city erupted in celebration, I realized I was already in love with him. Had been for months. I'd just been too afraid to acknowledge it. David. Yes. I love you too. Valentine's Day 2025 arrived with unexpected snow. Seattle rarely got snow, but that morning we woke to 4 inches blanketing the city. David made breakfast, pancakes and coffee, while I watched snowfall on Elliott Bay. I have something for you, he said, sliding an envelope across the counter. Inside was a reservation confirmation. 2 weeks in Tuscany. June. I know you went to Italy alone last year. Thought maybe you'd like to go with me this time. I felt tears building. David, this is too much. I can cancel if... Perfect. This is perfect. We spent the day inside, watching old movies, cooking together, existing in comfortable domestic peace. My phone buzzed around 3 p.m. unknown number. I almost ignored it, but something made me answer. Eleanor Hartford? Yes. This is Jennifer Chen, Vanessa Chen's sister. I hope I'm not overstepping, but I needed to thank you. I froze. Thank me. For what you did. Getting Vanessa fired. It was the best thing that could have happened to her. I don't understand. Vanessa was caught up in something toxic with your ex-husband. She convinced herself it was love, but it was really just destruction. When she lost her job, lost Richard, hit rock bottom, she finally got help. Therapy. Dealt with her issues. She's in Portland now, engaged to a good man, working at a non-profit. She's happy. Really happy. I sat down, processing. I didn't do it for her benefit. I know. You did it for justice. But it saved her anyway. So thank you. After we hung up, I told David about the call. How do you feel? He asked. Confused. I spent so long angry at Vanessa, seeing her as the villain. But she was just lost. Making terrible choices. Like we all do sometimes. Does it change how you feel about what happened? No. Richard still betrayed me. She still participated. But maybe I can stop hating her now. March brought my 60th birthday. David threw a surprise party at a restaurant on the waterfront. 50 people I cared about. Colleagues, friends, Linda, neighbors. Marcus Chen from my firm gave a toast. To Eleanor, who shows us daily what resilience looks like. Who faced betrayal with grace and came out stronger. I stood to respond. Thank you all for being here. For supporting me through the hardest year of my life. For reminding me I'm more than my marriage, more than my divorce, more than what someone else made me feel. I'm 60 today. I'm happier than I've been in decades. I have work I love, friends I treasure, and I looked at David, someone who sees me for exactly who I am. Here's to second chances, to starting over, to proving that our worst moments don't define us. The applause was thunderous. Later, Linda cornered me. You've come so far from that day in the garden. Almost 2 years ago now. Do you ever regret how hard you went after Richard? The firm termination, the settlement, all of it. I considered. No. He was planning to do the same to me, just more calculatedly. I beat him to it. Protected myself. That's not wrong. But was it worth it? The money, the house, The revenge. The revenge wasn't the point. The point was refusing to be a victim. Refusing to let him control the narrative. Showing him and myself that I had power too. And the cost. The empty house, the loneliness, the healing. Was worth it. Because I found myself again. Found the woman I'd buried under 30 years of being Mrs. Richard Hartford. Linda hugged me. I'm proud of you. April brought cherry blossoms and renewal. David and I walked through the University of Washington campus, under canopies of pink blooms. I want to ask you something, he said. But I'm nervous. My heart raced. Okay. I'm not asking you to marry me. We both know you're not ready for that. Maybe you'll never be ready, and that's okay. Then what are you asking? If you'd consider making this permanent. Not marriage. Just commitment. Building a life together intentionally. Maybe buying a place together. Something that's ours, not haunted by past relationships. I stopped walking. You want to buy a house together? Only if you do. Only if you're ready to believe this is real. That I'm not Richard. That we can build something honest. I looked at him, this patient, kind man who'd waited while I healed, who'd never pushed, who'd loved me through my fear. I'm ready, I said. Let's look at houses. We found a house in Madison Park, a smaller, modern craftsman with a view of Lake Washington. 2 bedrooms, an office, a garden smaller than my Bellevue estate but manageable. We closed in early June, moved in together officially. The Bellevue house I sold. It was time. A tech executive bought it for $3.2 million, $400,000 more than the divorce valuation. I took the proceeds and invested them. Financial security for whatever came next. David and I furnished our Madison Park home together. No ghosts. No memories of Richard. Just clean spaces filled with things we chose together. We hung art we both loved. Planted a garden we'd tend together. Created routines that were ours alone. June brought our Tuscany trip. 2 weeks wandering through Florence, Siena, the countryside. Wine tasting and cooking classes and long dinners under string lights. One evening in a small trattoria outside Montepulciano, David said, I've never been this content. Me neither. Do you still think about him? About what happened? Sometimes. Not as much. It's like scar tissue now. Still there, but not painful. Do you trust me? I reached across the table, took his hand. Yes. I trust you. That's new for me. But yes. I'm glad. Because I plan to spend a very long time proving I'm worthy of it. We returned from Italy tanned and happy. Our new house felt like home, a word I hadn't associated with any place since the divorce. In July, Richard's attorney contacted me again. Not about Richard this time, but about a mutual acquaintance who'd asked for a reference. I considered ignoring it, but curiosity made me call back. Thomas, what is it? Eleanor, I hope you're well. I'm calling because Richard has asked me to reach out. Not on legal matters. He wanted you to know he's doing better. Healthier. In therapy. Working on himself. Why are you telling me this? Because he doesn't have anyone else. His kids barely speak to him. They're adults now. They've made their own judgments about what happened. His career never recovered. He's alone. And nothing. He just wanted you to know he's trying. That he understands what he lost. I hung up feeling nothing. Richard's recovery wasn't my concern. His loneliness wasn't my responsibility. I told David about the call. Does it bother you? No. It's just distant. Like hearing about someone I used to know, not someone I spent 30 years with. That's probably healthy. Is it strange that I don't hate him anymore? That I just don't care. I think that's healing. August marked 2 years since the divorce was finalized. I didn't mark the occasion, didn't dwell on it, just noted it passing like any other day. David and I hosted a dinner party at our new house. Friends from both our lives, blending social circles, building community. Linda came, brought wine, toasted to new beginnings. You've built something beautiful here, she said, gesturing to the house, to David, to the life visible in every corner. I have, haven't I? Do you ever wonder what would have happened if I hadn't shown you those photos? If you'd never found out? I considered. Sometimes. I think Richard would have divorced me eventually, on his timeline, when it was financially advantageous. I would have been blindsided. Lost more. So I did you a favor? You saved me. Gave me the information I needed to protect myself. I'm grateful for that. Even though it hurt? Especially because it hurt. Pain is how we know we're still alive. September brought autumn colors and cooling temperatures. David and I established new traditions. Saturday morning farmers markets. Sunday afternoon hikes. Weekly dinners with friends. I felt settled. Secure. Happy in a way that wasn't dependent on someone else's approval. October brought an unexpected letter. Handwritten, addressed to me at my office. I opened it carefully. Dear Eleanor, I know I have no right to write to you. I know you've moved on and built a new life. I'm writing not to ask for anything, but to tell you something I should have said years ago. You were extraordinary. Are extraordinary. As a wife, a professional, a woman. I didn't appreciate that until I lost you. I took your brilliance, your strength, your grace for granted. I'm sorry for that. I've spent 2 years in therapy trying to understand why I destroyed the best thing in my life. No excuses, just acknowledgement that I was broken in ways I didn't recognize. I hurt you because I was too cowardly to face my own inadequacies. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I just wanted you to know, you were enough. You were always enough. My choices reflected my failures, not yours. I hope you're happy. I hope you found someone who sees your worth. I hope you've forgiven yourself for loving someone who didn't deserve you. With respect and genuine remorse, Richard. I read it twice. Felt a strange sadness, not for what we'd lost, but for the time wasted on something that was broken from the start. I showed David that evening. He read it silently. How do you feel? Sad for him. Grateful I'm not there anymore. Hopeful that he actually means it. Are you going to respond? No. There's nothing to say. He said what he needed to say. That's enough. I filed the letter away. Not as a keepsake, but as a marker, proof of the journey from devastation to healing. That night, David held me close. You know what impresses me most about you? What? You didn't let bitterness consume you. You could have spent years angry, vengeful, stuck. But you chose to heal. To build something new. That takes strength most people don't have. I had good support. You, Linda, my friends. You had yourself. Your strength. Your refusal to be defined by someone else's betrayal. I kissed him. Thank you for seeing me. The real me, not the wounded version. The wounded version was real too. Healing isn't linear. But yes, I see all of you. And I love all of you. November 2025. The holiday season approached with its usual bustle. David and I hosted Thanksgiving at our Madison Park home, our first major holiday as a couple in our shared space. His children came, their partners, his parents. I invited Linda, Marcus Chen from my firm, Sarah my paralegal. We crammed 20 people into our dining room. The conversation flowed, laughter genuine, the sense of family real even if unconventional. David's daughter Amy helped me in the kitchen. "You're good for him, you know. Dad was lonely after the divorce. He dated, but no one stuck until you. He's good for me too. Can I ask you something personal?" "Sure." "Do you ever worry that it'll happen again? That you'll trust someone and get hurt?" I paused, considering. "Every day." But I realized something. Letting fear control me is just another form of imprisonment. Richard controlled me through deception. I won't control myself through fear. That's brave. It's survival. After Thanksgiving, work consumed me. As managing partner, year-end brought performance reviews, budget planning, strategic decisions. But I loved it. Loved leading, making decisions, shaping the firm's direction. One afternoon in early December, Marcus Chen knocked on my office door. "Eleanor, do you have a minute?" "Of course." He sat, looking uncertain. "I heard something, through the legal grapevine, about Richard." My stomach tightened. "What about him?" "He's dating someone. Seriously, from what I understand. A woman he met in therapy. Another divorcee." I waited for the surge of emotion. Anger, jealousy, pain. Nothing came. "Good for him," I said. "I hope he treats her better than he treated me." Marcus looked surprised. "That's it? You're not upset?" "Why would I be? I have David. I have my career. I have a life I love. Richard's romantic choices aren't my concern anymore." "You've really moved on." "I have." And saying it, I realized it was completely true. December brought Christmas decorating. David and I picked a tree together, spent an evening hanging ornaments and drinking wine. "Next year," he said, "maybe we host Christmas here. Start our own traditions." "I'd like that." "Eleanor, can I ask you something?" "Always." "Where do you see us in 5 years?" I thought about it. "Here. In this house. Maybe traveling more. Working less. You in semi-retirement, me cutting back my hours. Gardens and grandkids, yours, not mine, and quiet mornings and knowing I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be." "That sounds perfect." "What about you? Where do you see us?" "Married," he said quietly. "If you'll have me. Not now. I'm not proposing. But someday, when you're ready, I want to make this legal. Make you my wife. If that's what you want to." My breath caught. "David, you don't have to answer now. Just think about it. I'm not Richard. I won't hurt you the way he did. And I understand if marriage is too tainted for you now. But I love you. I want forever with you. However that looks." I pulled him close. "Ask me again next year, when I've had more time to heal. More time to believe this is real. I'll wait as long as you need." New Year's Eve 2026 arrived with clear skies and city lights. David and I stayed home, cooked dinner together, watched the Space Needle fireworks from our window. As midnight approached, he refilled our champagne. "What are you hoping for this year?" I thought about the journey, from Linda's devastating photos to this moment, warm and safe in David's arms. "Peace," I said. "Continued joy. Maybe the courage to say yes if you ask me again." His smile was radiant. "Then I'll make sure to ask at the right time." Midnight struck. The city erupted in celebration. And for the first time in 3 years, I felt completely free. Free from Richard's shadow. Free from fear. Free from the past that had defined me for so long. I was Eleanor Hartford, not defined by marriage or divorce, but by my own strength, my own choices, my own capacity to heal and love again. And that was enough. More than enough. It was everything. January 2026 brought unexpected news. My firm landed a major client, a tech company going through messy dissolution. The senior partners wanted me to lead the case personally. It's high profile, Marcus explained. Founders divorcing, company splitting, lots of money at stake. Press attention. It needs someone with your expertise. I'll take it. The case consumed February and March. 80-hour weeks, depositions, negotiations. It reminded me why I loved law, the intellectual challenge, the strategy, the satisfaction of protecting vulnerable clients. David supported without complaint, made dinner on late nights, rubbed my shoulders when stress built, never made me feel guilty for prioritizing work. This is who you are, he said. I love all of you, including the workaholic attorney. By April, we'd reached settlement. My client, the wife, walked away with 55% of company equity plus spousal support. The tech blogs covered it extensively. Hartford secures major win in landmark dissolution case. My phone rang constantly. Interview requests, speaking invitations, new client inquiries. You're in demand, Sarah said, managing my calendar. You could write your own ticket right now. I considered. At 61, I could coast. Semi-retire. Travel with David. But I loved this work. Loved protecting people like my client. Like myself 3 years ago. Book the speaking engagements, I told Sarah. Let's use this platform. In May, I keynote a women's legal conference in San Francisco. My topic, protecting yourself, legal strategies for high-asset divorce. I told my story, carefully edited, no names mentioned. The affair, the documentation, the settlement, the healing. The applause was thunderous. Afterward, dozens of women approached. Thank you for sharing. I'm going through this now. You gave me courage. One woman, late 50s, eyes red from crying. My husband is having an affair. I found out last week. I don't know what to do. I gave her Rebecca Chen's card. Call her. Document everything. Protect yourself. You're stronger than you think. Flying home, I felt purposeful. My pain had become a platform. My experience could help others. David met me at the airport with flowers. How'd it go? Perfectly. I think I found my post-retirement calling, helping women navigate divorce. Post-retirement? You're retiring. Eventually. Maybe at 65. Transition to consulting, speaking, writing. Use what I learned. He kissed me. I'm proud of you. Turning trauma into purpose. That's powerful. June brought our house's first anniversary. We'd lived together a year, blending lives, building routines, creating home. David planned a surprise. Led me blindfolded to the backyard. Okay, open your eyes. He transformed our small garden. Rose bushes, heritage varietals like I'd grown in Bellevue. A bench. String lights. A small fountain. Your garden, he said. I know you miss the Bellevue roses. Thought we could grow new ones. Together. I was crying. David, this is. I love you. I want you to have everything that makes you happy. We spent the evening planting roses together. Building something beautiful from scratch. July 4th weekend, we drove to the San Juan Islands. Rented a cottage on Lopez Island. Spent 4 days hiking, kayaking, existing in peaceful isolation. One evening, watching sunset from the shore, David said, Eleanor, it's been a year since I asked about our future. About marriage. My heart raced. I remember. I'm not asking now, but I want you to know, I'm still sure. Whenever you're ready, if you're ever ready, I'm here. I took his hand. I think I'm almost ready. I'm not scared anymore. Not of you. Not of commitment. Just processing. Making sure. Take all the time you need. But I was ready. Had been ready for months. I just needed to admit it. August brought my 61st birthday. David took me to dinner at Canlis, the restaurant where Richard had taken Vanessa, where I'd found charges on his secret credit card. I'd avoided it since the divorce. Too many painful associations. Are you okay being here? David asked. I'm reclaiming it, making new memories to replace the old ones. The food was exceptional. The service impeccable. The view of Lake Union breathtaking. And I felt nothing but happiness. No ghost of Richard. No pain. Just joy. Over dessert, David reached across the table. Eleanor Hartford, I love you. I've loved you for 2 years. I want to spend the rest of my life with you, however long that is, in whatever form you'll accept. He pulled out a box. Opened it. A simple platinum band, elegant and understated. I'm not proposing. Not yet. But when I do, this is the ring. I wanted you to see it. To have time to decide. No pressure. No timeline. Just, eventually. The ring was perfect. Not flashy. Not ostentatious. Just beautiful. It's lovely. So when I officially ask, you'll know what to expect. You can take all the time you need to decide. I looked at this good, patient man who'd loved me through healing. Who'd waited while I processed. Who'd proven, day after day, that he was nothing like Richard. David. Yes. Ask me now. His eyes widened. Now. Now. I'm ready. I love you. I trust you. I want to build a life with you officially. So ask me. He slid from his chair, knelt beside the table. Other diners noticed, started watching. Eleanor Hartford, will you marry me? Yes, I said, tears streaming. Absolutely yes. He slipped the ring on my finger. It fit perfectly. The restaurant erupted in applause. We married in October, a small ceremony at a winery in Woodinville. 50 guests, close friends, family, colleagues. Linda was my maid of honor. Never thought I'd see you marry again. Neither did I. But David's different. This is different. It is. You're different. Happier. Stronger. More yourself. I wore champagne silk, not white. Carried garden roses from our backyard. David cried when I walked down the aisle. The vows we wrote ourselves. David, Eleanor, you showed me that healing is possible. That second chances exist. That love can be honest and real. I promise to honor you, cherish you, and never take you for granted. I promise to be worthy of your trust. Me, David, you showed me I could trust again. That I deserved kindness. That my past didn't define my future. I promise to love you fully, honestly, without fear. I promise to build a life with you that honors both our journeys. We exchanged rings, kissed, became husband and wife. The reception was joyful. Dancing, speeches, celebration. David's daughter Amy toasted, to Eleanor, who taught me that it's never too late to start over. Who showed that strength comes in many forms, including the courage to love again. Marcus Chen, to Eleanor, who turned pain into power, trauma into triumph. Who shows us daily what resilience looks like. Linda, to my friend, my neighbor, who faced betrayal with grace and came out stronger. who built a garden from scorched earth. I wiped tears throughout. Our honeymoon was 3 weeks in Greece, Athens, Santorini, Crete, blue waters and white buildings and ancient history. One evening in OIA, watching sunset over the caldera, I said, "I'm completely happy. For the first time in years, maybe ever, I'm completely, unreservedly happy." David kissed my temple. "Good. You deserve it." Do you think I would have found this if Richard hadn't betrayed me? If I'd stayed in that marriage, comfortable but unseen? I think you would have stayed, been quietly unhappy, never known what you were missing. So in a strange way, he did me a favor. He destroyed you. You rebuilt yourself. Those are different things. Still, I wouldn't be here without that pain. Then I'm grateful for your journey, even if I hate what you endured. We returned from Greece tanned and rested. Our Madison Park house felt like home, truly home, not just a place to live. November brought Thanksgiving again, this time as husband and wife. Our families blended seamlessly. December brought our first Christmas as a married couple. We decorated together, hosted parties, started traditions. One evening, trimming the tree, David said, "This is what I always imagined marriage could be. Partnership, joy, mutual respect." Me too. I just had to go through hell to find it. Was it worth it? I looked at our tree, our home, our life. Every painful moment, because it led here. Another New Year's Eve arrived with snow falling softly on Seattle. David and I stayed home again, our tradition now. As midnight approached, he pulled me close. "New year. New decade ahead. What are you hoping for?" "More of this. Simple happiness. Work I love. A marriage built on honesty. Maybe some travel. Definitely more roses in the garden." That sounds perfect. What about you? To grow old with you. To watch you thrive. To build a life so full of love that we forget what loneliness felt like. Midnight struck. The city celebrated. And I kissed my husband, not my first husband, but the right one. The journey from Linda's photos to this moment had been excruciating. 3 years of pain, anger, healing, growth. But standing in David's arms, watching snow fall on our city, I knew every tear had been worth it. I was Eleanor Chan now. Not Hartford anymore. A new name for a new life. And this life, built on ashes of the old one, was everything I'd never known I deserved. Spring 2028 brought unexpected closure. I was at my office when Sarah buzzed. "Eleanor, there's a Richard Hartford here to see you." No appointment. Should I send him away? My stomach dropped. "Richard. He says it's important. One-time conversation." I should have refused. Should have protected my peace. But curiosity won. "Send him in." Richard entered my office looking older than his 63 years. Gray hair, lines etched deep, the bearing of someone who'd lost everything. "Eleanor, thank you for seeing me. You have 5 minutes." He sat carefully. "I heard you remarried. To a doctor. I'm happy for you. Is that why you're here?" "No. I'm here because I owe you a conversation I never had. Face to face. Honest. I waited. I destroyed us. Not just the affair, though that was unforgivable. But years before that. I took you for granted. Made you invisible. Prioritized my career, my ego, my desires over our partnership. You became convenient rather than cherished. I know all this, Richard. We've been divorced 4 years. I've moved on. I know. But I need to say it. Not for your forgiveness. I don't deserve that. For your closure. So you know it wasn't you. It was never you. You were brilliant and devoted, and I was too self-absorbed to see it. I studied him, saw genuine remorse, not manipulation. Thank you for saying that. I'm in a relationship now. Someone kind, patient, someone I don't deserve but who's giving me another chance. And I'm terrified of repeating patterns. So I'm in therapy, working on myself, trying to be better. I hope you are better. For her sake. I learned something in therapy. I sabotaged our marriage because I didn't believe I deserved happiness. Some childhood wound. Blah blah. Point is, I projected my inadequacy onto you. Made you feel insufficient when really I was the broken one. Richard, I appreciate this. But I've processed all of it already. Made peace with it. You don't owe me this explanation. Maybe not. But I owed it to myself. To be honest for once. He stood. That's all. I won't bother you again. I just wanted you to know. You deserved better. You were always enough. I'm sorry it took losing you to realize that. After he left, I sat with the conversation. Felt relief. Not forgiveness exactly, but release. The anger I'd carried had evaporated. The bitterness dissolved. What remained was mild sadness for time wasted, but no active wound. I called David. Richard just came to my office. Silence. Then, are you okay? I'm fine. He apologized. Actually apologized, genuinely. How do you feel? Free. Completely free. Like the last chain just broke. That evening, I told David everything. The conversation, Richard's remorse, my own surprising lack of reaction. You've healed, David said. Completely healed. I have. He's just someone I used to know. Someone I shared history with. But no power over me anymore. That's growth. I looked at my husband. Thank you. For what? For being patient while I healed. For loving me through the process. For never making me feel broken. You were never broken. Just recovering. Summer brought new routines. I cut back work hours, focusing on select cases and consulting. David reduced his surgical schedule. We prioritized time together. July, we returned to Napa. The place I'd never made it with Richard, but had reclaimed with David. We stayed at Aubaird's again, took cooking classes, toured vineyards, existed in peaceful companionship. One evening, over wine, David said, I was thinking about selling my practice. Retiring fully. Maybe we travel. 6 months of the year. Where would we go? Everywhere. Europe for spring. Asia for fall. Home for summer and winter. What do you think? I think yes. I think let's build the life we want instead of the life we thought we should have. August, we started planning. David sold his practice to a younger partner. I transitioned to pure consulting, no more than 20 hours weekly. We bought plane tickets to Portugal for October. 3 months wandering coastal villages, eating seafood, learning Portuguese. September, I cleaned out my office. 28 years at Morrison, Bradford and Chen. Decades of cases, clients, courtroom battles. Marcus Chen helped pack boxes. End of an era. Beginning of new one. Any regrets? None. I loved this work. But it's time for something different. What will you do? Consult when I want. Write maybe, a book about high-asset divorce from both legal and personal perspective. Garden. Travel. Be present. Sounds perfect. My last day at the firm brought tears. Colleagues, former clients, friends gathered. Eleanor Hartford, Eleanor Chen now, showed us what dedication looks like, Marcus said. What integrity in practice means. What fighting for clients truly requires. She'll be missed. I gave brief remarks. Thank you for 28 extraordinary years. For trusting me with your cases, your careers, your mentorship. I'm not disappearing. Just redirecting. Onward to new adventures. October arrived with falling leaves and Portugal tickets. David and I packed light, 2 suitcases each, ready for 3 months abroad. Linda drove us to the airport. You look happy, she said. I am. Deliriously happy. Think about where you were 4 years ago. Taking out trash, seeing those photos. Did you imagine this? Never. I imagined destruction, loneliness, permanent damage. And instead, I got a second life, better than the first. Portugal was magical. We rented a small apartment in Lagos, spent days exploring beaches, evenings cooking local fish, nights reading and talking. No work emails, no schedules, no obligations beyond deciding which cafe for breakfast. One morning, walking along Praia Dona Ana, I said, I can't remember the last time I felt this free. Not burdened by the past, not burdened by anything, just present, just happy. We spent November in Lisbon, December in Porto, January back home in Seattle, then February planning our next adventure. Where to next? David asked. Japan for cherry blossoms? Greece again? South America? All of it. We have time. Time. What a gift. At 62, I had decades potentially ahead. Decades to explore, love, create. March brought unexpected news. A publisher contacted me. We've heard about your background. High-profile attorney, personal experience with divorce. Would you consider writing a book? Practical advice combined with personal story. I discussed it with David. Do you want to? He asked. I think so. If it helps people. If it creates meaning from pain. I spent April through June writing. Protecting Yourself. A Lawyer's Guide to High-Asset Divorce. Half legal strategy, half personal memoir. I wrote about Richard's affair. The documentation. The settlement. The healing. Changed names, protected identities, but told the truth. The publisher loved it. This is powerful. Raw. Useful. We'll publish in spring 2029. Meanwhile, David and I traveled. Japan in April. Greece in June. Peru in August. Each trip brought new perspectives. New memories. New proof that life wasn't over at 60. It was just beginning. September 2029. My book launched. Initial reviews were strong. Hartford's, Chen's, combination of legal expertise and personal vulnerability creates an invaluable resource. A must-read for anyone navigating divorce, especially high-asset situations. I did a book tour. Seattle, San Francisco, New York, Chicago. Everywhere, women approached with their stories. Your book saved me. I documented everything. Got 60% settlement. Reading your journey gave me courage to leave. I'm a lawyer now because of you. I want to help women like you helped me. Their gratitude was overwhelming. My pain had purpose. My experience helped others. October brought unexpected contact. An email from Vanessa Chen. I almost deleted it, but curiosity won. Eleanor, I know I have no right to contact you. I know what I did was unforgivable. I participated in destroying your marriage. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I'm reaching out because I read your book. Seeing the timeline from your perspective, the documentation, the pain, the devastation I helped cause, I'm horrified by my choices. I was lost, insecure, desperate for validation from a powerful man. That doesn't excuse anything, but it's the truth. Losing my job, losing Richard, hitting bottom, it saved me. I got therapy, dealt with my issues. I'm married now to someone kind, working in non-profit, trying to be better. I wanted you to know I'm sorry. Genuinely, deeply sorry. You didn't deserve what Richard and I did to you. I hope you've found happiness. From your book, it sounds like you have. I'm glad. With sincere remorse, Vanessa. I showed David. How do you feel? Sad for who she was. Glad she grew. Grateful I'm not there anymore. Will you respond? No. There's nothing to say. She apologized. I received it. That's enough. November brought our third wedding anniversary. We celebrated at home, cooking together, drinking wine, dancing in our living room. 3 years, David said. Best 3 years of my life. Mine too. Think about where we started. Careful, tentative, both wounded. And now. Now we're solid. Strong. Building something that lasts. I kissed him. Thank you for waiting for me to heal. For being patient. For proving love could be safe. Thank you for choosing me. For trusting again. For building this with me. December brought holidays with family. Another January brought planning for new adventures. Where this year? David asked. Africa, New Zealand, Patagonia, all of it. Let's make a 5-year plan. See the world while we can. We spent February mapping adventures. March in South Africa. June in New Zealand. September in Patagonia. Sprinkled with months home tending our garden, seeing family, existing in our hard-won peace. My book went into second printing. Speaking requests continued. I consulted on select high-profile cases. But mostly I lived. Present, joyful, grateful. One evening in March, tending our roses, I thought about the journey. From Linda's devastating photos to this moment. 5 years, 8 months. From destruction to healing. From betrayal to trust. From darkness to light. Richard's affair had destroyed my life. But from those ashes, I'd built something better. I'd found myself. Found my voice. Found my strength. I'd found David. Found honest love. Found partnership. I'd found purpose. Helping others through my story. Creating meaning from pain. The roses bloomed around me. Heritage varietals, carefully tended, thriving in new soil. Like me. Transplanted, but blooming.
If this story resonated with you, I'd be grateful if you'd subscribe to this channel for more true stories like this one. Leave a comment below, telling me what you would have done in my situation. I read every single one. Share this story with someone who needs to hear it. Your share might save someone's life. Thank you for staying with me until the very end. I know this wasn't an easy story to hear, and I want to be honest with you, some of the stories that follow contain fictionalized elements created for educational purposes. If that's not something you're comfortable with, feel free to explore other content that suits you better. But if you're willing to learn from real experiences, even painful ones, I'll be here sharing what I've learned. God bless you. And remember, protecting what is yours is never an option.